right, everybody, welcome back to the Steel City Blitz Steelers podcast presented by Deck Roofing Incorporated of South Florida. The regular season is in the books. The Pittsburgh Steelers gave a valiant effort in Cleveland this past Sunday, despite not having a lot of their regulars, and came away with a 24-22 loss to the Cleveland Browns. And I credit the Steelers. They played a lot harder than I thought they would, and it basically came down to a 2-point conversion, and it didn't happen. And the Browns win. The Browns make the playoffs, and as their reward, the Browns get the Steelers this Sunday in the primetime slot, Sunday night, 8:15 on NBC. That's right, kids. Get ready for Chris Collinsworth. And in other words, I guess pick out arsenic or whatever it is you want to just kill yourself with, because my God, is he awful to listen to.
Now here's a guy. Now here's a guy we talk about.
Here's a guy.
Now here's a guy.
And I'll tell you what. Have you heard his kid? His kid irritates me just as much.
No, I heard he's a sideline reporter, but I have not.
He's on afterwards. He's on,
but he's got all the same
yeah.
mannerisms. The voice is the same. It's just It's
well, why the hell isn't he? Why the hell isn't he being a mediocre wide receiver for the Bengals?
Probably wasn't mediocre enough, apparently. I don't know, but anyway, welcome aboard, everybody, and
that's a good beer.
We hope to give you a break from a lot of the things going on in the world and talk some sports. So and some Steelers. Ben, what are you drinking tonight?
I am drinking Boneyard RPM IPA, and it is delicious. And I've also got 3 fingers of Bull Run whiskey.
Bull Run, very famous battle.
No, very famous battle, but I wouldn't call it a very famous distiller. It's their local. Okay. But it is good whiskey.
Good.
And they age it in, I think they age it for 5 years in regular oak barrels, and then they age it for 2 more in port barrels.
Oh, okay. Very nice.
And it is quite tasty.
Yeah, I just tried the Jameson in the IPA barrels.
Oh, yeah, that's good, isn't it?
It is. I wasn't real sure what to expect, but it is. Ian, what are you enjoying tonight?
I am drinking a Old Overholt 100 proof
nice.
Bottled in bond rye whiskey.
What he always drinks.
Yeah. I'm drinking it in the glasses my wife got for me, or I should say tumblers my wife got for me for Christmas, which have raised bottoms on them that have the topography of different U.S. mountain ranges. So tonight I grabbed the Denali.
Yeah, unbelievable! It is cool.
Really
you
cool.
showed a picture.
This is how Ian entertains himself, guys. That and critiquing, officiating, and watching film. He's also a football dork.
I'm a dork about a great many things. It's quite all right.
I've just got my 3 fingers of Maker's Mark. I'm trying to finish off that bottle so I can start on the sampler pack my wife got me for Christmas. So,
awesome.
Ian, all right.
Ian, why haven't you gone to the liquor store yet and gotten the bottle of Redbreast I told you about?
I'll get there eventually. I went right before Christmas and stocked up on a whole bunch of stuff. So I've got to finish some of the bottles that I have. I have 6 different bottles of whiskey right now, and only a couple other things. So I gotta work my way through a couple of these other bottles first.
You could just start sharing it with your sons.
That's okay.
Yeah.
They don't need it yet. They're very interested in it though. They're like, Dad, when can I have whiskey?
Yeah.
I'm like, on your 21st birthday, I will take you to a bar and you can have whiskey.
21st. The first time they taste whiskey, imagine the face they're going to make.
I know.
And you can just say to them, yep, remember that.
That was my son. Yeah. No doubt about it. Guys, I don't want to spend too much time talking about the game last week. I do want to dive. Well, I don't know that it's really worth it, but
I think there were some pleasant surprises.
Yes,
setting aside the fact that I was really angry about the loss, even though it was the Steelers JV.
Yeah,
there were a handful of guys that really stood out, in my opinion. Kevin Rader on special teams. Who the hell knew he could do that?
I know. A couple of real nice big hits, tackles on special
He had 3
teams.
special teams tackles,
Yeah.
and he popped on the screen, and he's a friggin' tight end.
Yeah.
Who knew that was coming? I had no idea.
I saw him as nothing more than just your run-of-the-mill blocking tight end who just, that's it. That's all he's going to do.
Chris
But,
Wormley had a nice sack.
He did.
The guy who I really was impressed with on film, he kept showing up even when he wasn't making plays. He was pushing the ball carrier into the pursuit, was Jaron Elliott. Wow.
He actually flashed a little during the game. He
did.
You just kind of like, whoa, where did he come from?
And it was from that off-the-ball linebacker spot. It wasn't so much from the edge where he's supposed to be playing. So I looked at it, and I was kind of like, could that guy do what Arthur Moats did and actually be a swing linebacker?
Ooh. I mean, man, what a great position for him if he can.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, assuming Highsmith is gonna jump in there when Dupree departs. It's a mouthful. Yeah, he'd be very nice to have behind. Ian, anybody for you? Any moments in that game? I'm sure you want to talk a little bit about the officiating.
A little bit,
yeah. So going back to Kevin Rader for a minute, local kid, Pine Richland High School, I believe.
That's right.
Also, he was a guy that a couple years ago, I think it was last year, we kind of thought during camp might actually beat out Zach Gentry for the third tight end spot.
Because Zach Gentry sucks?
Because he does, yes. Because he went to Michigan.
We should note that.
Yes,
it has nothing to do with Zach Gentry going to Michigan, although that sucks too, but he sucks because he sucks.
Yes. Nevertheless, he had that one awful preseason game where he had a couple holding penalties and I think he dropped 2 passes and then had a fumble or something. He had just a terrible game.
It was a bad day.
That. He was in the doghouse and kind of never made it out. But, the COVID situation with Ebron opened the door for him to have an opportunity here in a game that didn't matter. And, we saw what kind of growth the kid has had since that awful game, and that leads me to my bigger point. I don't know if there was one specific player that stood out to me, but I mean, let's face it. We played our JV team. Tomlin even made a quote the prior week about wanting to airmail his team to the playoffs, basically, get them there all healthy. Mm-hmm. And they were down 24-9. They could have just packed it in,
absolutely,
run the ball, and just kind of been like, whatever the final score is, we don't care. We're just going to get out of here. But they showed some incredible, whatever you want to call it, heart, gumption, grit, intestinal fortitude, whatever word you want to choose.
Yeah.
This team showed some serious heart in battling back in this game on both sides of the ball in the second half, when some of the starters that had even started the game and got taken out, and it was pretty much all backups in there, and they battled back and like you said at the intro, came within a 2-point conversion of potentially sending the game to overtime. So yeah, I mean, I was really impressed with just the heart, the grit that this team showed, the depth on this team showed throughout, especially the third and fourth quarter in this game after they got down. And to throw a bone to Ben here, yes, if the officials actually knew how to call roughing the passer, then Mason's interception gets called back.
That's right.
They don't go up 24-9. They're
that was another example of Mason getting happy feet in the pocket and throwing a terrible pass that never should have been thrown.
No.
Yeah.
Never should have been thrown. Horrible pick. The pick's on Mason. Yes.
Absolutely.
The official should have brought that ball back because he very clearly was hitting right in the face with 2 hands.
2 hands. Not just one, 2.
Right in front of Jerome Boger. How does that happen and he misses that? What the fuck?
Yeah.
I don't know.
One other point on that, too, though, that's worth making is that double punch to Mason's face is absolutely the reason why it was right to not play Ben Roethlisberger in this game. Because if something like that happens to Ben and he gets hurt and can't play this coming week in the playoff game, can you imagine the shitstorm that would happen? People, so it was
a good point.
Absolutely the right reason to start Mason.
Did you guys realize? You probably did. There was a point in the fourth quarter where I think, I think Minkah Fitzpatrick was the only first-team player on that defense on the field.
He played the whole game. He was out there the whole game.
Yeah, I mean that to your point, Ian, it just spoke to the fact that those guys that are your backups, your reserves, whatever you want to call them, they recognized that this was an opportunity to get some film, to get some tape, and they know what their situations are. Their agents talk to them. They know what's up at the end of this year and coming into next year, the Steelers cap situation. So they got to get some tape and some meaningful snaps. And absolutely. I thought those guys played hard and pulled us within a 2-point conversion. So I was thrilled by it. Again, I'm like Ben. The loss doesn't sit well with me. It never does. I don't care who we're playing and why we're playing. It still sucks, but I understood what the greater goal was, and that was just simply to be healthy as possible coming out of that. Ben, you mentioned Mason Rudolph, and look, he had good numbers, 315 yards and 2 TDs and the horrible pick, and it was. You have to learn to live to fight another day. You got to either throw that ball into the stands or you just eat it. And nobody likes either of those two options, but it's better than what happened. So overall, I mean, what did you think when you look at that performance based on what you saw from him last year?
Well, it was better than last year, which, I mean, I'm sorry, guys. Everybody who wants to say that Mason played well, no, he didn't. Better than 2019 Mason Rudolph is not a standard you want anyone to strive for, okay? Mm-hmm. Because 2019 Mason Rudolph was horrible, disgraceful. He was a little better. His pocket presence still sucks. I don't know why he won't step up in the pocket. He's still checking the ball down when he has guys open downfield. Mm-hmm. He did throw some downfield, which was better. It looked as though he knew where he was going to go with the ball at the snap, even when he went downfield. And if that had been covered up, like the times he went to Claypool, if that had been covered up, he would have just checked it down or, tried to do a little 3-yard scamper or taken a sack. Mm-hmm. I don't think he can read defenses. And that's not something you can overcome. And that's my instinct right now. Mm-hmm. I think that Mason has more physical ability than Josh Dobbs. I think Josh Dobbs is smarter. And if somehow you could meld those two players together, you'd have a starting caliber NFL quarterback, but you can't. Right. So you don't have anybody behind Ben that can be the future, in my opinion. He's still doing a lot of the same things that he did last year, and it's aggravating. Again, better than 2019 is not a standard. This guy does not look like a guy. He doesn't flash. He doesn't pop off the set anyplace. Even when Ben was a rookie and he made some dumb mistakes, he still would do this stuff off script where you were just like, how did he even do that? How did he get away with that?
That's a good point.
And it was just like, Mason's not doing any of that because he can't.
It's very much with him. It's either he makes the play or it's just awful. There's very little in between. And I so I see where you're going with that. Ian, what did you think of Rudy on Sunday?
I agree with Ben that he was better than 2019. Mm-hmm. One of the things that I thought he particularly did better was throwing on time and on target. Some of his deep balls actually hit guys in stride. Last year, we talked a lot about how Mason was waiting for guys to be college open and not NFL open. And a couple of the crossing routes he threw to Juju on third downs, that he was actually putting the ball out in space and letting his guys go get it and hitting them on the run in stride rather than, waiting for them to actually appear to be open. He was throwing when they were in their breaks rather than, throwing when they appeared to be covered rather than, just letting his guys go make plays. So that was better. That was encouraging, especially the deep ball to Deontay Johnson down the right side was he dropped that right in there over the defensive back. The other deep ball to Johnson down the left side, or I guess left numbers, he hit him in stride as well. Couple to Claypool, the touchdown to Claypool, he had to come back for a little bit, but also had a defensive back draped all over him and made a fantastic grab on that. But nevertheless, it was good to see Mason just push the ball down the field a little bit too, and not just check down the whole game. That gets back to actually going after it and not just trying to get out of dodge and packing it in. That they went for it, and I commend them. I disagree with Ben about Mason's future. I will say I do not think Mason can be an NFL starter. He is not a number one quarterback. I think he can be a capable number two, which he could. Which means if your starter gets hurt, he could come in for maybe a series or two. He can maybe start a game or two. He's not a 16-game starter. At most, maybe a 1 or 2 game kind of starters here or there. So I think he showed enough that he could be a capable number two, but I don't think he's not the long-term answer. He's not, the future, the quarterback of the future. I'll also say one other thing. I love throwing in the Josh Dobbs package just because even if they don't use it, it gives opponents one other thing they have to spend practice time preparing for this week and watching film on. Obviously we'll see the Browns this week. Hopefully we get to play again next week. But, Ben Roethlisberger in his press conference this week even kind of alluded to it that maybe we have 3 quarterbacks that are capable. Any one of us might go out there and play. It's gamesmanship. They're not going to put Josh Dobbs out there if Ben's healthy, but it's complete gamesmanship. But you make your opponent prepare for it. And, that's just one other thing they have to be thinking about while they're practicing this week.
Yeah, no, I agree. And as we know over the last several weeks, defenses have been kind of calling out Randy Fichtner's offense, especially in the first half of games. And I think the Dobbs package was a great step towards, as you said, making defenses all of a sudden have to spend a little more time on something that they probably really don't want to. So I liked it from that vantage point. The great thing about having a franchise quarterback in Ben Roethlisberger is that, for us, we don't have to spend a lot of time evaluating quarterbacks coming out. And, obviously that has changed over the last couple of years as Ben has gotten up there in age and certainly will continue to change for us. But Rudolph was easily the guy that I've spent the most time watching over the last few years since he came out and then certainly last year. And, he did improve. There's no doubt. I thought his moxie, just his overall confidence looked better. He I think getting the ball out ahead of receivers, as you guys were talking about, was huge. But there's just too many little things. And some people have said to me, maybe that'll change if he gets more playing time. And maybe it will. But I just think that a quarterback either has it or they don't. They either have that ability to feel the pocket closing in, they know to step up, they know to get rid of it, or they don't. And I just kind of feel like he's just not ever going to grasp that. And so I tend to agree with Ian a little bit there that I don't know that he'll be much more than a spot starter, a guy that can give you a couple of games if necessary. I would not want to have to rely on him. And if I'm wrong, then I hope I'm wrong and he's a Steeler and proves me wrong. But that's just kind of what I see out of him. And any chance? Yeah, go ahead.
I pretty much agree with what Ian said. He kind of lost me when he said he was disagreeing with me and saying that Mason could be a spot starter / backup.
Yeah.
I don't want to rely on him long term. He's not an NFL starter. He just isn't, period. He may get smarter with age and with experience, but again, my instinct in watching him not be able to feel the pass rush coming at him, his refusal to step up into the pocket, the fact that he misses guys open and continues to check down the ball, I just don't think he can read defenses. And I don't think that's something that you can fix, at least not entirely. I think it's instinctive. As you mentioned before, you kind of have it or you don't.
It's true.
Brett Favre talked about the fact that Holmgren would sit down with him and go, okay, these are your reads. 1, 2, 3, 4. You went 1, 4. Tell me why you did that. Tell me why you did that. And Brett would say, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. But he made the play. He made the play. And it was instinctive because he just had that quality. He just knew, okay, this is happening. That guy's open. Shoo, out it goes. And it's his fourth read, but he throws it on the second read.
Mm-hmm.
And it's things like that. It's qualities like that Rudy lacks. And I think, no disrespect to him. By all accounts, he's a nice guy.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
I just don't think he's got it. I don't think that he can read defenses. I don't think that he can see the field, which is weird because he's 6'4".
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is. I don't think he can see. He can definitely put the ball where it needs to be. I don't think he can see it to do it, which bothers me.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. If you go back and you watch him at Oklahoma State, though, I mean, it was pretty much one
guys open.
Yeah, my first read is going to be my first throw, or vice versa. I mean, it's just that's the way it was in that system. But
and they schemed some guys open on Sunday, and
they
made it work.
Yep.
And yes, he was throwing to spots on the field and letting guys go and get the ball, showing a little more trust in his receivers than he did last year. I will give him credit for that. He was definitely better than last year. But again, let me emphasize, better than awful is not a standard we want people to strive for.
We've seen that standard many years ago, and we don't want a return to that. That's for damn sure.
Well, that's another show, but
yes, it is. And it's what I'm not.
2 decades of football frustration because we didn't have a franchise quarterback. And for you younger listeners that have only been fans from about 2004 on, get ready. It ain't going to be pretty.
Well, Ben, as you know, we're going to trade for Deshaun Watson, and we're not going to have to worry about that. So,
that's not happening either.
Yeah, well, it's a whole other story. You're listening to the
There
Steel
was a
City.
reason.
What?
There was a reason when I was a kid.
Yeah,
I asked Santa Claus every year to bring the Steelers a quarterback, and this is a true story. That my parents would take me to see Santa Claus, and I'd go through my list, and then the last thing I'd say every year was, "And I want you to bring the Steelers a quarterback." And every year when I was a kid, without fail, I would ask for that, and it took until I was in college for them to get one. So yeah.
So Ian. Did the mall Santa whose lap you were sitting on when you were a little kid, did he smell of whiskey and have a Pittsburgh accent?
He probably did. I don't remember that, but he probably did.
So in other words, that mall Santa somewhere in Pittsburgh was a real asshole because he wouldn't bring us a quarterback for 20 years.
I distinctly recall a few of them being like, "Oh, I wish I could. We really need one."
Oh, Santa, you watch football from the North Pole? Oh, man. You're listening to the Steel City Blitz Steelers podcast presented by Deck Roofing Incorporated of South Florida, serving the southern Palm Beach counties. Whether it's commercial, residential, multifamily, or condos, contact Deck Roofing at deckroofing.com today. Okay, so the Browns come to Pittsburgh now for the playoffs, and wow, what a mess it is.
Browns.
I mean, we know that their head coach will not be there. We know that there's all-pro guard Joel Bitonio will not be there, and the way it looks, they're going to be starting somebody there that is wickedly inexperienced across from Cam Hayward. So that's a big advantage, but I will allow Ian to get into this because he's been mentioning this all week. There was a time when the Browns came to Pittsburgh and played the Steelers in the playoffs, and somebody had the idea of playing a song by the band Styx called Renegade, and that's where it was born. And
No,
our Ian was in the stands that day. Ian, tell us about it.
All right. So this was it was January 2003, so 2002 regular season. The Browns had made the playoffs for the first time since they were reincarnated.
Right.
They made the playoffs last after the 94 season, which was their last playoff victory in 94. So all those Browns folks on Twitter who are trash talking probably have never been alive for a Browns playoff victory. The Browns won their first round game in 94 and then came to Pittsburgh in the divisional round and lost 29-9. In 2000, and then
that was a beautiful game.
Yes. And then they moved to Baltimore a few years
That was
later.
the old Browns. I was just going to say that
Right.
that Browns team doesn't even exist anymore. They're the Baltimore Ravens now, so who cares?
Yes.
Let's talk about the new Browns.
Yes. So the new Browns have only made the playoffs once, which was the 2002 season. They came to Pittsburgh and had a I'll say relatively young at that point, spry offensive coordinator who thought he was going to change the world by the name of Bruce Arians. And the Browns ran out to a fairly sizable 17-7 halftime lead, extended it to 24-7 early in the third quarter, excuse me. And I mean, being down 24-7, this was Tommy Maddox at quarterback. This was this was not the Ben Roethlisberger team.
That Tommy gun offense wasn't that bad. Come on.
It was not, but this was Jerome Bettis was hurt, so this was Amos Zaraway running the ball for us. This was Hines Ward and Antoine Randall at receiver, and Plexico Burress as well had a monster game. But nevertheless, so the Browns score early in the third quarter and go up 24-7. The Steelers come back and go 3 and out, gain 3 yards the whole drive. And punt it back to Cleveland. So, 11 or so minutes left in the third quarter, down 24-7, and Cleveland's getting the ball back. So everyone in the stands is feeling pretty down at this point.
Right.
And at this point, the guy who runs the Jumbotron decides to play Renegade. So for those who everyone's pretty familiar with Renegade now, but the song starts off pretty slow. And I mean, if you're in a depressed mood, you're like, what the hell is this? That was honestly the attitude in the stands around us. People are like, what the fuck is this? Like, they've given up. Look, even the Jumbotron's playing this slow, sad song, and
it's a funeral march.
Pretty much, yeah. And I mean, I will fully admit that even as a high schooler at the time, I think I was 16 years old, but I listened to a lot of classic rock, so I was familiar with 26. The song.
He's lying.
I was 16, but I was like, no, this is Renegade. This is great, and there's that moment like 30 seconds into the song when Dennis DeYoung does the scream, the primal scream. And I swear it just like woke everyone the fuck up, and everyone like got into it. They started bouncing around with the song, and I was like, okay, maybe. All right. All right, maybe we're getting pumped up now. And then Kelly Holcomb threw an interception to Mike Logan. Yeah. Tommy Maddox came down, threw a touchdown to Plexico Burress, and all of a sudden, it's 24-14. You're like, okay. And then, and then the Browns wound up kicking a field goal on their next drive to go up 27-14. But then, Tommy Gunn started rolling. He, brought us back to another touchdown to Jeremy Tooman, and the defense started making stops. Got another touchdown to Hines Ward with about 3 minutes left, and stopped the Browns and got the ball back with like 2.5 minutes left, down 28 or 33-28 at that point. Right. Drove down the field. Chris Fuamatu Mafala, ran the ball in. Yeah, Fu ran the ball in, and then Antoine Randall threw a 2-point conversion pass to Jeremy Tooman, and we won the game 36-33. And I think they played Renegade another time too towards the end.
They played it twice.
They did play it twice. Yep.
Yeah, but it was
a rare double Renegade.
Yeah,
the first time it was played.
yeah, but it was. But ever since then, it's Renegades obviously become a thing. But that was where it started. Was that playoff game against Cleveland, and then we won't talk about what happened the next week with fucking Joe Nedney's Oscar-winning performance in Tennessee. But nevertheless, that was the start of it. Was the last time
angry
Cleveland
about
made
that?
The playoffs.
I can remember that. I remember plain as day.
Pittsburgh people have very long memories.
Mm-hmm.
If you remember Twitter after we beat the Titans this year, it was full of people saying, this is for Joe Nedney, fuck Joe Nedney.
Yes, it was.
There was I took screenshots of so many people with F Joe Nedney, this and that. People remember.
Nobody has a memory as long as you do with officiating, though.
That's true.
Yeah,
Sorry.
That's true.
So yeah, when the Browns and the Steelers hook up on Sunday, remember that is the game that Renegade was born.
Remember that Baker Mayfield actually sucks.
Yes.
Well, that too. Yes, Ben.
That's a phrase that Ian actually coined. So the Browns right now have 7 guys on the reserve COVID list.
They are expected to get Denzel Ward should be back. He'll come off.
Denzel Ward should be back, but
Saturday,
Kevin Johnson will probably not.
Nope, he's not. So they'll
Malcolm
be.
Smith may not, is what I read today, but who knows?
And what the
Ronnie
safety?
Harrison,
Yep.
Ronnie Harrison definitely will not. Joel Bitonio definitely will not. The Bitonio loss is huge because, and you referenced this before. What they typically do was they were taking. God, he played for the Steelers. Why am I pulling a blank here?
Chris Hubbard.
Chris Hubbard.
They were taking Hub and they were putting him in at guard as a backup guard. So he's a backup swing player at 4 positions along the line.
Yep.
And they don't have him available because he's out on injured reserve.
Yeah, he's hurt.
So as of right now, I don't even know who's going to start there. Do you?
They have one of 2 guys. One guy has, I think, 2 career starts, and the other one has, I think, all of 1 or 2 career plays in the NFL.
Michael Dunn?
Yeah. Either way, they're going to be very inexperienced.
What this means at the end of the day is somebody on the defensive interior is going to be singled up.
Yeah.
Probably not the guy who's going against that left guard and Joel Bitonio because they're going to want to try and give that guy help. So I don't think Cam Hayward is going to be the guy who's going to be singled up. I think the guy who's going to be singled up is Stephon Tuitt.
Agree.
And it's going to be because they need to give that left guard help. If they leave him singled up against Cam Hayward, Cam's going to pick him up and carry him to Baker Mayfield. We've seen him do it.
Yeah.
We've seen him do it. And, whoever this rookie probably is the wrong word, but
young player,
inexperienced player he's going to get abused.
Mm-hmm.
Even if there's just one play where they allow it, he's going to get abused. So Tuitt, who's having a really nice year,
11 sacks,
is going to be singled up. Wyatt Teller is no slouch.
No.
But it doesn't matter. And then, you can't pull the right tackle and say, yeah, we're going to help out with Tuitt here, and we'll leave the tight end to try and block TJ Watt.
Yeah, forget it. Yeah.
So,
I'd love to see it.
So would I. It would be fantastic. If they do that, it's like, oh, yeah, here's a free sack, TJ. Go ahead and just have it.
Well,
free tackle for loss.
Since we're talking Steelers defense right now against that Browns offense, if Robert Spillane, Ian, what if he does come back and play? And so far he's practiced this week. I don't think he's been activated yet.
No.
But
he's practiced both days.
Yeah, which tells us he's probably
on track to probably be activated.
On track for that. Yep. Ian, is he? Does he step in for Avery Williamson there? Do you think?
They may split some snaps. Avery Williamson's been playing better week by week. He still has some physical limitations, but slightly better. But I think Spillane brought a lot to the defense that we didn't really expect him to bring. We kind of expected him to be, Tyler Matakevich 2.0, for lack of a better term, and kind of just a guy out there. But he's looked even better than John Bostic ever looked. He arguably looks better than Mark Barron ever looked, out there as well. He can actually cover guys in run support. He's great. And against Nick Chubb, we're going to need it. And And the real question with Spillane, though, is do they give him the green dot back to let him call the plays? Do they let Vince Williams still call the plays? That's going to be something to kind of consider for them. Who's going to call the plays? Because the person that calls the plays also kind of has to be a 3-down linebacker and stay out there on 3rd down situations. The one other point I'll make, too, is that with Spillane out there, the one thing we didn't do a very good job of last week was we let Baker break contain a couple times and get to the outside and make plays with his feet. Yep. And I got to think that, with our starting outside linebackers and defensive line in there, they'll be a little more disciplined in their rush lanes and better about that. But also with, our starting linebackers starting Devin Bush is our starter, but you know what I mean? Robert Spillane's our starter for now because Bush is out. But, with those kind of guys in there, I got to think that they can hopefully keep Baker better contained, because that's honestly where he's capable of making the bigger plays down the field and extending things, is when he gets outside with his feet.
And don't forget, it was the Browns that Devin Bush suffered the season-ending injury, and Spillane came in and played surprisingly well in that game. Ben, I know you had something to say there on Spillane.
I agree with just about everything that Ian said. He against the run, he's fantastic. He's a very instinctive player. He even shows instincts in coverage. He has a tendency to sniff out routes a little faster than other linebackers do. However, he's not great in coverage. He's not a good coverage linebacker. Mm-hmm. And if he were, he would be an NFL starter. But as we talked about all season long, he's a smart player. He diagnoses plays quickly. He hits like a truck. And he's been an asset when you thought, you really thought that he would be a gigantic step down. And he's been, pretty
okay,
competent.
Yeah.
He's been better than competent against the run. He's been pretty competent against the pass. I think that headiness, that smart, heady ability that he's got is going to probably give him the green dot again if he's active, because he had it before. He had it for several weeks, 7 to be precise.
And I do want to also add that it's not uncommon for graduates of Western Michigan University to be very bright and smart.
So what the hell happened to you? I'm just saying, if everybody else is so smart, what's wrong with you?
Well, I ask myself this question on a daily basis. I clearly made my way through there. I slipped through the cracks. Let's put it that way. I slipped through the cracks at that prestigious university. Let's just say that.
I see.
Yeah. So with no Joe Hayden, we're going to go ahead and plug in Cam Sutton over there on that side. I would think Justin Lane.
Can I jump in here real quick?
Of course.
I have been asking. Pestering is a better idea, a better way of putting it.
Yeah.
For the last 2 days, people about what Joe Hayden's situation is, because he's eligible to come off on Saturday.
Oof.
Okay. If he is tested negative 5 days in a row, he can come off on Saturday. And it really depends upon symptoms and everything else. But it's a minimum of 10 days. His 10th day would be Saturday. Now, he probably can't do it. It isn't going to happen. So, that being the case, he is likely to not be available. That's the plan right now. So it is what it is. I think that it's probably going to be Justin Lane again, or actually, what do you guys prefer? Would you prefer Lane, or do you think Sutton would do a better job? I think Sutton's better
Sutton.
outside.
I think it's got to be Sutton.
Is a better outside corner. Do you get the sense, and I'm just putting this out there to both of you, do you get the sense that they put Lane out there to see what he could do in a meaningless game as a part of the JV squad?
I would say yes.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. They wanted to see what they had there.
Yeah. And I think I think the door is starting to close on him a little bit. I think he made some blunders last week. Yeah, and I'm not going to take the kid to task too much yet, but I think his time is definitely running thin. Ironically, the Browns signed a guy who kind of was in a similar position a few years ago with Pittsburgh, and Brian Allen. They signed him off the Bengals practice squad this week because of their deficiencies in the secondary. And he was a guy that was kind of long, had some athleticism, and just never caught on with the Steelers. And I don't know if Lane's headed for that. I hope not. I hope he turns things around, makes something of himself. But that's just kind of the gist I got, and I would assume they'll go with Sutton.
I'll tell you who's impressed me this year, and specifically on special teams, is James Pierre. I mean, it seems like he's always around the ball on special teams.
He was around the ball a lot on Sunday when he got some snaps on D.
That's why he made the team was special teams, and I agree with you. He seems to be a very instinctive player that has a head for the ball.
So speaking of the ball, let's flip it over to the offensive side. Ben didn't play last week. Ben actually did practice yesterday a little bit. It wasn't what I would call a full practice. He participated, which is more than he usually does on a Wednesday.
They said he was a full participant.
You're right. What I gathered, he was a full participant, but might not have participated fully, if you know what I mean. But they're getting Eric Ebron was activated off the COVID list today. Yep. So he should play. I mean, what Ben? What do you expect to see from this offense this week? I mean, we saw them push the ball down the field with some pretty good success last week. Do they do that again? What's going to be different this week?
My hope is that, one, they let Ben just do his thing.
Yeah.
Where he kind of goes to more of a no-huddle type of situation, or they give him more flexibility to call plays at the line, run fewer RPOs, because honestly, they just aren't working.
No.
Even last week, Mason held the ball a little bit too long, and we had guys run downfield, and we got a couple of penalties because you had an ineligible man downfield, and it's not really the offensive lineman's fault.
Not at all.
I'm watching the game with people that are going, God, why did he do that? I can't believe he got down there. Well, that's regardless.
He's doing what he's supposed to do. Yeah.
The blocking is the same on an RPO as it is on a run play. So he's doing what he's supposed to do. The quarterback's got to get the ball out quick. And I hope there are fewer of those this week. I hope they let Ben, for lack of a better way of putting it, do what he wants to do, orchestrate the offense, draw plays up in the dirt.
I'll take it.
Tell guys at the line what route to run. You have an out. You're running a slant. The defense can hear it and it still works. And a lot of that, it just has to do with the fact that he's played for so long and he knows how to diagnose defenses at the line. He can just go, yeah, you're doing this. And then he throws it and it works.
Mm-hmm.
I hope there's more of that. What we really need to see this week, please, baby Jesus, help us out. We need to see the run game improve. We need to see the run game improve. That has to happen. And I'm a little concerned with the fact that Eric Ebron, God bless him for trying to block, but he can't do it. And he's going to be in there, and they're going to ask him to inline block. And it just kills the effort because the guy just can't do it, which means
can't hold the edge. Some
guy along the edge is going to have a free release. Probably that guy is going to be Myles Garrett. And yeah, it's just like, okay, so you're going to give Myles Garrett a free tackle behind the line. That's great. Fantastic. We need better effort from our line, from our tight ends, and frankly, from our running backs. Our running backs, I thought Anthony McFarland showed a little more burst through the hole last week. That was good to see. A little more. Let's just say, he had a little more initiative toward getting to the second level than he has before.
Less dancing
in the hole. Yes, less trying to make people miss at the first level. A little more urgency. But the other guys, I mean, Benny Snell, again, he's a one-dimensional guy.
Yeah,
he's not very dynamic. He's doing the best he can with what he's got. James Conner, again, trying to make people miss early rather than just going, okay, I'm going to get to the first level, second level, one cut, try and get upfield, just get 5 or 6 yards. Just get 5 yards, Don't worry about making it a 20-yard burst. Just get 5 yards.
Yeah.
We need to see better effort from everybody on a more consistent basis. And the run game has got to do more. It's got to hold its own. The Steelers have been awful in the run. That's got to improve. And that's my hope. But I don't know how much hope I have.
You got to be able to run the ball a little bit in the playoffs. The history shows that you do. Very few teams have gone on to the Super Bowl ranking as far down as we do. So hopefully, I remember the one year, I believe it was the Colts, when they went on the road, they had one of the worst. Actually, I think I'm thinking of the opposite. They had the worst rushing defense in the year, and I think they shut it down for 3 straight games, if I remember. So my analogy really is quite stupid there. Ian, getting your thoughts on offense, but I do want to ask you with this question. Do you buy any of this that the Steelers were kind of resting Chase Claypool a little bit?
Maybe, just given his snap count and what Tomlin said, but good things happen when he touches the ball, so he needs to touch it more. And I will just echo what Ben said, that they need to push the ball down the field, especially given the guys that the Browns have out in their secondary.
Right.
Kevin Johnson was a guy who a lot of Steelers fans really liked and hoped we drafted.
I remember him well.
Out of Wake Forest a couple years ago, and he did a pretty nice job on Juju in the first game out of the slot. But if he's out, Juju might have some more room to operate. Denzel Ward got beat over the top for that touchdown to James Washington in the first game. He's probably not going to make that same mistake twice, but we need to push the ball down the field against this team, and we should be able to do it. Terrence Mitchell's not that good of a corner. Ronnie Harrison, one of their safeties, is out. I think Sendejo's going to be back, but nevertheless, we can push the ball down the field. Yeah. So we need to do that. And with the running game, honestly, and Ben was absolutely right with everything he said. But right now, the biggest deficiency is short yardage. We've got to be able to pick up those 3rd and 1s, those 1st and goal from the 2s. You got to punch that shit in.
That's getting pushed from the line, though, Ian. That's all about the line.
Oh, yeah.
And that's one of the reasons that Sean Surratt, in my opinion, they probably should move on from. They've regressed under him.
Yep. No doubt about it.
Yeah, it's pushed from the line, but also, I mean, James Conner scored a rushing touchdown last week that was pretty much all his effort. I mean, he got hit in the backfield and made it happen. Benny Snell gets hit there and gets taken down on the next series when we got stopped 4 tries from the 1 yard line. Connor's your best short yard. Connor's your best all around back right now.
He is, absolutely,
no question.
I mean,
and he's a very average starter, but he's your best running back without question.
Right.
And I think we talked about this last week, that this is the first time going into the playoffs that we've had a healthy starting running back in a while. I mean, there was the one year, was it 2016, that we went to the AFC Championship game and Le'Veon Bell set team records against, was it Miami and Kansas City the first 2 rounds, and then got hurt against New England. But I mean, that's really the first time in 10 years or so that we've had a healthy starting running back going into the playoffs. So you got to use them.
And don't forget too, Olivier Vernon, who plays opposite Myles Garrett.
Right, man, that was awful.
Yeah,
he ruptured Achilles. That is just. I don't care who it is or what team.
It's terrible.
That's awful.
Yeah, Yeah, and I say the same thing about Joel Bitonio too, the guard who's going to miss because of COVID. He's the longest tenured player there, and suffered through obviously the worst of the worst seasons in Cleveland, and he's about to make his first playoff, and then he's told he can't play. I hate the Browns. I hate them with a passion, but I
was
also
say fuck that guy. But anyway.
Well, hey, these guys bust ass, and I hate to see them not get these opportunities.
You know what? He'll have an opportunity next year to go 8-8. It'll be fine.
Well, if not 0-16, but be that as it may. Okay, so what happens, Ian? What happens if the Steelers win? Who do they likely have in the divisional round?
So in all likelihood, we're going to Buffalo. So if Buffalo wins, and we win, we go to Buffalo.
Right.
And you base that upon what, Ian?
So the lowest advancing seed goes to Kansas City, who's the number 1 seed. Yep. So Buffalo being the 2 seed, us being the 3 seed, neither of us could possibly be the lowest advancing seed if we both win. So we would play in the second round because the winner of the 4-5 game between Tennessee and Baltimore would then be the lowest seed going to Kansas City.
The only prayer we have, and it is a long shot,
for some reason, if for some reason Phillip Rivers lights up Buffalo, which
can happen every once in a while. You never know. It happens.
Stranger things.
That's true. The Bills actually have the second longest playoff winning streak drought in the league behind Cincinnati. Nevertheless, they probably break that this year because I would
Cleveland? They don't have.
They're the third longest. So it's Cincinnati first, Buffalo second, Cleveland third.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because Cleveland won that game in '94. Buffalo hasn't won since '93.
Well, I actually kind of like Bills fans, so.
We do.
At any rate, if Indy pulls the upset and beats Buffalo, then Indy goes to Kansas City, and we get the winner of the Tennessee-Baltimore game in Heinz Field in the divisional round.
Now, wouldn't it be epic if it's Ravens-Steelers round 3?
It would be, but also let's not forget Lamar Jackson has never won a playoff game.
Oh,
true. That's
not
true.
only that,
entirely possible.
Not only that, Ian, against the Steelers, in his 2 starts, he's been sacked 7 times and he's been sacked 9 times and has 7 turnovers.
Right.
Yeah, not exactly great stats versus that defense, my friend.
But it's entirely. I mean, Tennessee has a shot here to beat Baltimore. Let's not just carry Baltimore to the next round. Tennessee got a shot.
That Tennessee defense doesn't have a rush at all. A pass rush.
Terrible.
They are awful, which is why they are currently the odds-on favorite to pursue Bud Dupree in the offseason. But we can talk about that, in a month.
That's true. So that's the scenario for the win and so on and what happens.
If we win and Buffalo wins, we go to Buffalo. If Buffalo loses, we're at home against the winner of Tennessee Baltimore. Yeah, that's what it is.
Pretty straightforward, and hopefully by then the Commonwealth governor will allow more people in. But that's also another topic.
So what you're saying is that Governor Wolf is an asshole?
I'm going to say that he is not well liked by many, many people. And that's just what I hear.
I'll just say he's kind of a prick. Look, if you're going to let 5,000 people into a casino that's closed and it's a smaller building and you have an outdoor venue that's larger and you're holding that to 2,500, you have your head up your ass.
I agree. I'm not even arguing it. Not even close. Ben, would you like to give us your prediction for the AFC wildcard game, 8:15 Sunday night on NBC between the Cleveland Browns and the Pittsburgh Steelers? What do you think is going to happen?
Well, let's let Ian go first. Screw it. What do you think, Ian?
Oh, okay.
All right. I will say, all right, so Cleveland has won a bunch of games this year, basically like they won this past game where they got lucky at the end.
Yep.
And by lucky at the end, they stopped a 2-point conversion against us, against Jacksonville, who's got the number 1 pick. They've had to recover some onside kicks. They've closed out some games because other teams like Houston can't stop the run. Cleveland's won a bunch of close games this year. Cleveland is 11-5 with a minus 11 point differential.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let that sink in.
Crazy.
They won 6 more games than they lost, yet somehow still gave up 11 more points than they scored on the whole season. So if they get down, they are not built to come back. So I think we're going to get up early like we did last time on them and make them try and play from behind. I think they'll score a little bit late. I'll say Steelers 27-17.
27-17. Okay.
Mark, what do you think?
I see it very similarly. I think the fact, Baker Mayfield has only turned it over once, and I think the last 7 or 8 games. But I think he's due. He was sacked 4 times last week, and there were a couple of instances where I thought maybe he was going to cough it up. And now you've got T.J. Watt back in there, and we know how good he is at stripping the ball. Not saying that's going to happen, but it just feels like it's due. I like the Steelers. I'm going to go pretty close to Ian. I'm going to say 28-16, I think, is your final score in favor of the Steelers.
28-17, really? All right, well, I didn't want to go first because I didn't want you guys to be
oh, boy, here we go.
Riding this wave. I'll just tell you guys, I think this is going to be a fucking ass whipping. And I think it's going to be – I think that Baker is going to make a lot of mistakes. They're going to turn the ball over. They're going to go away from the run, which they have done several times this season, which they should not do.
Nope.
They're going to panic late because they're behind and try and throw, and Baker cannot win games. I think the Steelers are going to keep him in the pocket rather than trying to rush him. I mean, they'll rush him. They'll pressure him some.
Oh, yeah.
But they're not going to be aggressive and give him openings to get outside the pocket like they did last week. And I see this going down very similarly to the first game against the Browns this season. I'm going to say Steelers 38, Browns 10.
Wow.
And on top of that, I'll go a step further. After the game, Steelers fans are going to be screaming, Super Bowl, we're going to the Super Bowl. And I will just caution you all, none of you will listen to me, but caution you all right now that it's going to look deceivingly good. This is still the Browns. They are still Brownsy as hell. As Ian pointed out, somehow they won 5 more games than they lost. No, 6 more games than they lost?
Yeah.
6, 11, and 5. Yep.
And they finished with a minus 11 point, minus 11, minus 9.
Minus
point
11.
differential.
Minus 11.
Point differential. That's ridiculous. That doesn't happen. That basically means you have an 8-8 team that got to play the NFC East this year, which is the reality of the situation.
True.
Okay? They're not that good. And when the Steelers trounce them on Sunday, do not decide the Steelers are fantastic. I don't even know why I'm saying this because you're not going to listen to me. Do not decide the Steelers are going to be automatic Super Bowl winners, okay?
Right.
That's going to be the thing. That's going to be the headline on Monday. Oh, my God, the Steelers are back. No, it's just the Browns are that bad.
All right. You heard it right there, kids. All 3 of us have the Steelers winning on Sunday. And again, that primetime game, Sunday night, 8:15 on the Peacock NBC with, I think, Al Michaels. Thank God he'll save us a little bit. And there's Maggie saying hello. But anyway, big shout out to Gordon over in the UK. He's been doing our Steelers history stuff once a week. He does a terrific job. Make sure you check that out on the site. He kind of revisits the game that Ian was talking about when Renegade was first played back then, and gives you the details of that. And also Jeff Johnson's been doing some writing for us too once a week, and his articles have been good. He's not afraid to make an opinion, and it's creating some buzz, so that's good. So
not afraid to make an opinion.
Nope, and that's what we like.
I really have a hard time making opinions.
Yeah, we know.
I struggle.
We've heard
stating my opinions.
Yeah, I get hate mail all the time about that too.
Good.
Yeah,
that's in my bio. If you want to send hate mail, send it to Mark, not me, because I don't give a shit. I'll just laugh.
Anyway, we're gonna get out of here. We hope everybody has a great weekend. Be safe out there. Enjoy the game, and we'll see you again next week. And this is Steel Dad signing off for Ben and Ian on the Steel City Blitz Steelers podcast presented by Deck Roofing. Oh, hello, Maggie.
Yes.
And
she says go Steelers.
Of course she does. And that's what I was going to say. She just stole my line. And hey, go Steelers.
Ravens suck.
Fuck the Browns.